I want to talk about something very powerful and transformative. Imagine for a moment that your life is like a grand movie script and you are the director. You have a vision of what the story will look like. You know how you want it to end, but you're not yet sure of all the details. Now, here's where trust comes in. To direct this movie, you have to trust that the script you've written is going to unfold as planned, even if you can't see the entire film just yet. When you truly grasp the concept of trust, you're not waiting for something to happen before you feel empowered. You're not waiting for success, wealth, or a new relationship to feel complete. The key question here is, can you believe in a future that you can't see or experience with your senses yet? Can you trust that what you've envisioned is already on its way, even if you haven't yet seen the evidence? Think about this. When you're manifesting your dreams, there are two essential ingredients. The first is a clear intention. This is a vision or a possibility you create in your mind. When you ask yourself questions like, what would it be like to be healthy? What would it be like to have financial abundance? What would it be like to find my perfect job or home? You're setting an intention. This intention is a starting point. It's the vision of what you want. Once you've set your intention, which is the first important step, there is a second crucial ingredient to making your dreams a reality, an elevated emotion. This means that after you've clearly defined what you want, you need to connect with your intention on an emotional level. Let's break this down. When we talk about setting an intention, we're referring to the clear vision or goal you have in mind. For instance, if you want to manifest better health, your intention is to become healthier. But setting this intention is just the beginning. To truly bring this intention into your life, you need to add an important element: how you feel about it. So what does it mean to emotionally engage with your intention? It's about feeling as if what you desire has already come true. Instead of just thinking about your goal, you need to start experiencing the emotions associated with achieving it. For example, if your goal is to be healthy, you need to really feel what it would be like to have perfect health. Imagine how wonderful it would be to wake up every morning with energy and vitality, free from any aches or pains. Picture yourself moving easily, enjoying life fully, and feeling joyful about your well-being. You need to get into the habit of feeling this way, as if it's already happening. This feeling is what we call an elevated emotion. It's a higher, more positive emotional state that aligns with your goal. To make this clearer, think of a time when you've been really excited or happy about something in your life. Maybe it was a special event, a personal achievement, or a great experience. Remember how vibrant and alive you felt during that time. That's the kind of emotion you need to bring into your current intention. It's about recreating that excitement, joy, and vitality now, even before your goal has physically manifested. When you focus on feeling the emotions associated with your goal, you are sending a powerful signal to yourself and the universe. This signal helps to align your internal state with the reality you wish to create. In other words, when you feel healthy, joyful, and full of life, you are more likely to attract and manifest those same qualities into your life. Here's how you can start practicing this. First, find a quiet space where you can sit comfortably and relax. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths to calm your mind and body. Next, start visualizing your goal. Picture yourself as healthy and full of energy. Imagine every detail, how you move, how you feel, and how your life is different because of this health. As you visualize, focus on how you would feel if your goal were already achieved. Try to tap into those feelings of joy, vitality, and well-being. Let these emotions fill you up completely. It might help to think of things you are grateful for or experiences that make you feel happy and alive. Your brain and body need to align with this future vision. You have to teach your body how to feel emotionally about the future before it becomes a reality. This emotional alignment is crucial because it creates a chemical and emotional state in your body that mirrors the future you're aiming to achieve. So, let's break this down. You start by clarifying your vision. Let's say you want to travel the world and work in a job that you love. You need to be specific about what you want. Imagine the details: traveling to beautiful places, having excellent benefits, working with amazing people, and being creatively fulfilled. The more detailed and vivid your vision, the more your brain begins to work in new ways. As you get clear on these details, your brain starts to change. It begins to operate differently because it's focusing on a new future rather than repeating old patterns from the past. When you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, you create a powerful electromagnetic field. Your thoughts are like an electrical charge, and your feelings are the magnetic charge. Together, they broadcast a signal into the quantum field, which influences the atoms and events in your life. The challenge lies in maintaining this vision despite the conditions around you. It's easy to be influenced by your current environment or by your past experiences. Most people's brains are wired to reflect their past experiences, and if they feel the same way every day, it means they're anchored to their past. To truly change, you have to be defined by a vision of the future, not the memories of the past. Now, here's where the concept of trust becomes essential. Can you maintain your vision independent of external conditions, your emotional habits, and the passage of time? This is where greatness lies. It's about consistently investing your energy into the future you envision, no matter what's happening around you. Recent research in neuroscience and neuroplasticity shows us that we can actually change our brain to make it look like the desired future has already occurred. This means you can begin to emotionally embrace a future reality, to the point where you fall in love with it. Your body, as your unconscious mind, starts to believe that it's living in that future reality in the present moment. This is crucial because it helps you signal new genes and create changes in your body as if the experience has already happened. One of the most difficult aspects of creating change is overcoming the physical sensations and limitations of the body. If you're feeling unwell or stuck in old patterns, it's essential to be able to think greater than how you feel. Your body should not dictate your reality. Instead, you must train yourself to think and feel in a way that aligns with your vision of the future. Changing deeply ingrained patterns takes time and effort. If you've been mismanaging your energy and emotions for years, it's unrealistic to expect immediate results. It took years to create certain conditions, so it will take time to reprogram them. This process requires repetition, understanding, and consistency. It's not about doing a meditation for a couple of days and expecting instant healing. It's a journey of consistent practice and belief. Imagine this process like fishing. When you start, it might feel like nothing is changing, but once you catch that first fish, once you notice even a small change, it's proof that what you're doing is working. That's when you start to put more passion and certainty into your practice. The more you experience positive changes, the more you reinforce your belief in the process. When you practice meditation regularly and focus on overcoming your body's limitations, something amazing can happen. You begin to experience moments where you go beyond just being a physical body with its issues and challenges. In these moments, you no longer identify only with your physical condition or illness. Instead, you start to connect with a deeper part of yourself. This deeper part is known as pure consciousness. Let me explain this in simpler terms. Think of meditation as a tool that helps you get in touch with a more profound aspect of yourself. When you meditate, you quiet your mind and body, allowing yourself to move beyond your usual everyday experiences and sensations. As you continue with your practice, you might find that you start to feel less like just a person with a specific illness or physical condition. Instead, you begin to sense a larger, more expansive part of who you are. Imagine you are a balloon that has been weighed down by heavy sandbags. These sandbags represent your physical issues and limitations. When you meditate and work through these limitations, it's like you're starting to let go of the sandbags. As the sandbags are removed, you begin to rise and float. This floating sensation represents moving beyond your physical identity. In these elevated states, you are no longer just your body. You are something much more. This deeper part of you, the pure consciousness, is not bound by the physical limitations of your body. It's a state of being where you can connect with a higher level of awareness and insight. When you reach this state of pure consciousness, you gain the ability to influence and make changes in your physical body from a higher perspective. To put it simply, when you are connected with this deeper, more expansive part of yourself, you have the power to affect your body in ways you might not have thought possible before. Think of it like this. When you are deeply immersed in this state of pure consciousness, you are like a skilled conductor of an orchestra. Instead of just being one instrument in the orchestra, your body, you are now the conductor who can guide and direct the entire performance. You can influence how each instrument plays, creating a harmonious and beautiful piece of music. In the same way, when you are in this elevated state, you can direct and guide your body's processes and healing. This process isn't about ignoring or denying the physical challenges you might be facing. It's about shifting your focus from being overwhelmed by those challenges to recognizing that you have the ability to affect change from a place of higher awareness. It's like having a remote control that lets you adjust and fine-tune your body's responses and health from a place of inner clarity. When you connect with this deeper level of consciousness, something truly remarkable happens. You start to move beyond the usual limitations and problems that often occupy your mind. These limitations might include physical issues, emotional struggles, or even mental blocks that have been holding you back. Instead of being stuck in these difficulties, you tap into a much deeper source of power and wisdom. To understand this better, let's imagine you're dealing with a problem, such as feeling constantly tired or stressed out. When you're only focused on the problem, it can seem overwhelming and almost impossible to overcome. This focus on the problem keeps you feeling stuck in the same place, making it hard to see any way out or make any real changes. Now, imagine if you could step back from this problem and connect with a deeper part of yourself, a part that's not limited by these current issues. This deeper part is like a higher level of awareness or a greater source of strength and understanding. When you connect with this level of consciousness, you start to see things differently. You're no longer just reacting to the problem with frustration or fear. Instead, you start to see new possibilities and solutions. This deeper consciousness gives you a fresh perspective. It's like looking at your life from a higher vantage point. From this new view, you can see the bigger picture and understand that the problems you face are just one part of your journey. You begin to realize that you have the ability to handle these challenges in a new and more effective way. When you're in touch with this deeper consciousness, you also access a source of wisdom that can guide you. This wisdom helps you make better decisions and find solutions that you might not have seen before. For example, if you're feeling overwhelmed by stress, connecting with this deeper part of yourself might reveal new ways to manage your stress, such as through different techniques or changes in your lifestyle. By tapping into this source of power and wisdom, you start to handle your physical and emotional challenges differently. Instead of being bogged down by the issues, you approach them with a sense of calm and confidence. This shift in how you handle your challenges often leads to significant improvements in your well-being. If you're trying to heal your body, being able to get beyond your physical identity is crucial. It's about moving from a place of matter, trying to change matter, to a state where consciousness interacts with and changes matter. This shift allows for more profound and quicker transformations. So, daring to trust in the process and in the future you've envisioned is about more than just hoping for the best. It's about consistently aligning your thoughts and feelings with your vision of the future. It's about creating a powerful electromagnetic field through your intentions and emotions and maintaining this focus despite external conditions. I'm going to feed you, you're going to get your coffee, you're going to do all those things, but right now, this is my time. You're going to obey me, right? So now the body's no longer the mind, you're the mind. And so when it wants to get up and you become aware of it, you return back to the present moment. Every time you do, that's a victory. And you're changing some aspect of yourself. So then ask yourself, I do this all the time. Write down 4 thoughts that you're going to stay conscious of the whole day. I can't, it's too hard. You'd be surprised the moment you become conscious of what those thoughts are, how unconscious you've been to them all day, all for weeks on end. Write down what you speak, how you speak, 4 things you want to change, how you act, how do you act? Do you complain? Do you blame? Do you make excuses? Do you feel sorry for yourself? That's a victim consciousness. What emotions do you live by? Is it possible that you're so used to living by guilt you don't even know it's guilt, it just feels like you? Do you allow your energy to drop? Become conscious of those states of mind and body and review them and say, this is the old self. Then say, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain? And start firing and wiring and start feeling it. What behaviors will I demonstrate today? What choices will I make? One day, one lifetime, just like you did, rehearse them. Rehearse the whole entire thing. Begin to install the neurological hardware in your brain. And if you keep installing it, the hardware is going to become a software program, and you're going to start thinking and acting that way. And then here's the tough part. Can you teach your body emotionally what your future is going to feel like before it's made manifest? And don't get up until you feel that way. Now practice that for a few days and then see if you can stay in that state and watch all of a sudden all those weird doors start opening for you. Synchronicities, whatever they are. Number 2, take time at the end of your day before you lay down and give thanks for your life. Feel gratitude and really teach your body what it feels like. The emotional signature of gratitude means you're getting something. If I give you something that's of value, you would say thank you because you would feel it, right? So when you're receiving, you're giving thanks. So gratitude is the ultimate state of receiving. So then people only accept, believe, and surrender to the thoughts equal to their emotional state. So if you're in a state of gratitude, every thought's going to make it right down into your body. If you're saying, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm healthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, I'm wealthy, and your body's programmed the negativity, it's saying, no, you're not, no, you're not, no, you're not, thought's going to stop right here. So as you elevate your state, there are about 100-200 different chemical reactions that go on in the body that begin to restore and repair the body in a state of gratitude. And so we've done the research to prove that. 10 minutes and just feel it with all of your heart. That's it. The third thing, and very important, take time. Whenever it is, sit down, close your eyes, and begin to just open your awareness to the space around you and just sense it and pay attention to it and become more aware of it. The act of opening your awareness begins to reduce the stress hormones and creates more coherent brainwave states. I'm doing it right now. It's just a practice. It's just a practice. And the more you do it, the better you get at it. Most of our thoughts and feelings come from our past experiences. They come from our memories. In fact, your brain is organized to reflect everything you know in your life. Your brain is a record of all the things you've learned and experienced to date. It's an artifact. And when you have an experience, when you're in the midst of an experience, all of your 5 senses plug you into the external environment. And as your brain is processing all of this vital sensory data, all of that information rushes back to the brain, and when it reaches the brain, it causes jungles of neurons to organize themselves into networks, to string into patterns, to reflect their interaction with their external environment. The moment those neurons organize into patterns, the brain makes a chemical, and that chemical is called a feeling or an emotion. And so experiences tend to create more long-term memories because it patterns or stamps or embosses networks of neurons into very specific patterns. And then the emotional quotient helps us to remember the event. So we learn something new intellectually. We also cause networks of neurons to form. The Nobel Prize laureate Kandel in the year 2000 found that when people learn just one bit of information, they double the number of connections in their brain from 1,300 connections to 2,600 connections. So if they didn't review that information or repeat it, the connections pruned apart. So we know then that learning semantic information begins to organize circuitry in the brain, and experiences enrich the brain. The end product of experience, of course, is the emotion, and it causes us to feel certain ways. You can remember where you were on 9/11. You can tell me who you were with, what time of day it was, what you were doing, because whatever you were seeing in that moment or hearing in that moment changed how you were feeling. And the moment you felt altered or you felt differently, significantly, your brain perked up and you paid attention to whatever caused that. And that event in and of itself is called a memory. So then most of our thoughts and feelings tend to be within the neural circuitry of the past and the emotions of the past chemically. So if you take a thought, thoughts are the language of the brain, and feelings are the language of the body, and how you think and how you feel creates a state of being. So if you combine a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, a thought and a feeling, and you have a series of good thoughts that are connected to a series of good feelings, that cycle of thinking and feeling creates what's called an attitude. If you have a series of negative thoughts that are connected to some pretty bad feelings, you'll say, I have a pretty bad attitude today. So if how you think and how you feel creates a state of being, then attitudes are just shortened states of being. You feel good in the morning, you feel bad in the afternoon. If you take an attitude, an attitude, an attitude, and you begin to string attitudes together, when you combine an attitude, an attitude, an attitude, you start to form what's called beliefs. Now, a belief is just a thought you keep thinking over and over again until you hardwire it in your brain. And because beliefs are based on past experiences, then the very boundaries of our beliefs are how we feel. And so when our beliefs get challenged, it typically doesn't feel right. I know from the research that we've done that the redundancy of thinking and feeling and thinking over time, for example, a person has an insecure thought, then they feel insecure. The moment they feel insecure, they think more insecure thoughts. They fire and wire more circuits in their brain to feel more chemicals of insecurity. And then once they're feeling insecure, they think more insecure thoughts. And they do this over and over again. Right on the other side of your fear is courage. Right on the other side of your sadness is joy. It's the same energy. It's just trapped in the body. And when you stretch yourself past that point and you break free from the chains of those emotional addictions, the side effect of that is called joy. And the body is liberated from that level of mind. And when that happens, there's available energy to create with. And so when you break through that, you begin to love yourself. You begin to respect yourself. And you begin to love and respect others because you see yourself in them. And now that you're free from it, you can understand them with compassion without knee-jerking in the same way. So the difficulty here is really making the time to do it. And if you began to think about a new way of being and you moved into a state where you said, I'm not going to get up until I am this person. And not only did you memorize it neurologically in your brain, but you allowed the thoughts that you were thinking to become the experience to the point that your body, as the unconscious mind, began to live in that future reality in the present moment. And when you got up, when mind and body were working together in that state of being, and you said, I'm going to maintain the state of being my entire day, and I don't care. Bring on the challenges, because I want to test my greatness. And you did that the entire day. The end of your day, when you finished your day, more than likely you'd have more energy than when you started. The literal translation of the word meditation in Tibetan means to become familiar with. The symbol means to become familiar with. So if you're becoming conscious of or familiar with your unconscious self to the point you're so conscious of your unconscious thoughts, so familiar with your unconscious habits, and so aware of your emotions that you would never let them go by unnoticed by you. There's no chance for you to return back to the old self, to know thyself. So people wake up in the morning and they start thinking about their problems. And those problems are memories in the brain that are connected to certain people and certain things at certain times and places. So they wake up in the morning and they start thinking in the past. Now, the moment they start having those thoughts, every one of those experiences has an emotion associated with it. So when they start thinking about their problems or the problems of the world or the problems of their body or whatever it is, problems at work, they all of a sudden start to feel the correlated emotion. So now their body's in the past. So now people then get caught up in an emotion, they reaffirm their identity, they could wake up in the morning and feel nothing at all. And then all of a sudden they say, well, wait a second, I've got to get back to myself. So they start thinking about their problems, and here come the emotions. And they say, oh, now I feel like me again. So those emotions then begin to influence our thoughts. Like if you feel like a failure, you're going to think you're a failure. And when you think you're a failure, you're going to feel like a failure. And when you feel like a failure, you're going to think more thoughts equal to being a failure. And the cycle of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking causes you to say, I am a failure. And the repetition of that process of thinking and feeling and feeling and thinking conditions the body to become the mind of that emotion. Now the emotion is stored in the body. Now the body's literally in the past, and the body as the unconscious mind doesn't know the difference between the actual experience that's creating the emotion and the emotion that you're creating by thought alone. Your body's believing it's in the same experience 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So then getting people out of the past is the work. So then they wake up in the morning after they reaffirm who they are, and they can't think greater than how they feel. They're in the familiar past. So if you're in the familiar past, you're going to do the things that reaffirm the emotions of your predictable future. So you wake up in the morning, you check your WhatsApp, you check your text, you check your Twitter, you tweet, you check your Facebook, you check your email, you check the news. Now you are really connected to everything that's known in your life. And then you run through a series of routine behaviors. You move around your house the same way you always do. You do all the same things. You go to the same grocery store, you buy the same food, you shop the same way, you do all these, you watch the same TV shows, and people do this for 10, 20, 30 years. Now their body's on autopilot, and their body's dragging them into a predictable future based on what they did in the past. You could actually take their yesterday and lift it up and set it on their tomorrow, which means then they've lost their free will to a program. So now the familiar past and the predictable future is called the known. There's only one place that you have to train a person to be so that they're not in the known, they're in the unknown, and that's called the present moment. So people get very happy being unhappy because they would rather cling to their unhappiness than take a chance in possibility. So stepping into that river and beginning to make a new choice and understanding that uncertainty, that unpredictability is the unknown. Now you're in that river of change, and it is the neurological, the biological, the chemical, hormonal, genetic death of the old self. People say to me, well, if there's uncertainty, I can't predict my future. And I always say the same thing. The best way to predict your future is to create it, not in the known, right there. That uncertainty, you can learn now how to regulate your state instead of living in fear, because the idea that things are going to get worse, the idea that you can't predict, the idea of being uncertain or can't control something actually sets off the stress response. So now you're in the unknown, and this survival gene is switched on. Of course, people are going out of the infinite possibilities that exist in the quantum field. They're going to select the worst scenario in their mind, right? So then what if you're in the unknown and you understand that? And now you can work back into that present moment and you say, what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain, put my attention behind? What behaviors today, one day? What behaviors do I want to demonstrate? And the act of closing your eyes and mentally rehearsing who you're going to be when you open your eyes begins to install the neurological hardware in your brain to look like you've already done it. Now the brain is no longer a record of the past.